There we go. So first of all, welcome to the call. Thanks for jumping on. We appreciate everybody for everything you do in order to, help with LifeVantage Academy and everything that the program entails. So we really appreciate everything you do. We do not take anything that you do for granted. We love working with you and everything, you have to offer as far as your leadership and for your markets and the whole program overall. So we do have Blue Elam. He's our Executive Master Pro 10, and we would like to welcome him to the call today, and he's going to be going over everything that we have to cover. So we do have a couple of announcements, and this is also going to be a feedback call. So Blue, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And first of all, I want to just tell Mikey thank you. I hear, is it Luca in the background?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Had her baby, and we appreciate all she's done, even through all that. We had a successful LVA, and I can only imagine the amount of balance it takes to have a baby on one hand and typing and taking care of us on the other. So thank you, and I'm sure things will be a little easier now that she's not right in the middle of that, but also has a new baby to deal with as well. So let us know if there's things you need. Mikey's doing a good job at forwarding to us anything that we can handle or help with, and so we love having her with us, and the professionalism and the experience that she brings is key, and so we want to maintain that. We just want to, it might take a little bit of patience on your guys' side. At the same time, if something needs to get done, let us know. We have plenty of us willing to help and make sure that this program's successful. So, but Mikey, thank you so much for pushing through the late nights. I don't know how many times we were talking, and I didn't even realize with the time change that it was 2 a.m. on your end, and you're up there working and getting stuff done. So thank you very much. Who's that?
Marcel and Tony.
Marcel and Tony, thanks for jumping on, guys.
Yes. You bet.
Yeah, thank you, Mikey and Blue.
Thanks, guys.
So let me just run through a couple announcements. Always look for, and again, let me just start off by saying the presenters and hosts are both on this call. I think it's going to be easy just to do these calls together. I think the feedback usually ends up getting trickled down to both anyways. If there's good feedback for the presenters, the host can use that, and if there's good feedback for the host, a lot of that comes from the presenters. So we just want to have these together. Our idea is to bring your best practices, bring concerns and questions are great. This is a good platform, and a lot of times it's not even us solving those. It's you guys. It's you guys have the skill and the talent to make this program work, and that's why it is working. Is you guys are out there and people want to hear from you. You have the experiences, you have the knowledge on how to build this business, and so we rely and lean a lot on that as well. So bring that to the table here, and thanks for everyone getting on. We'd love to get these numbers up. We'll make this a little more consistent after these events. We had a period of time there, obviously through the holidays and stuff, and a few comments that we needed to touch back in and check back in and get everything on the same page. So we appreciate that. Always keep in mind the Wednesday or Thursday before the event, you'll probably get an email. It's been pretty consistent that there seems like there's always a couple things we need to cover right before the event. Don't forget to announce this. Here's a little tweak or something going on. We'll try to cover that on this call, but between now and March 15th, right, we got some time. So if something changes, we want to make sure to look at that. We'll send what we can out on a text. I think texts seem to be viewed quicker, but we always send a little email update with 4 or 5 bullet points as a reminder in certain areas. So keep that in mind. It does help us just to solidify anything last minute if we without having to do a whole call or anything like that. So in that email, we talked about a couple things. Let's first start off with the Friday opportunity meeting. There was a little bit of question about that because we have talked it out, and I think we're almost split right down the middle, you guys, from host to presenters. I do think it's almost a city by city thing, honestly, and in some areas do a great job at rounding up guests to see the higher ups, if you would, or those that have been successful, and having an opportunity meeting on Friday has been successful in some areas, and then others, you push and push and you end up with one guest there. And in that case, we'd rather be talking to the leaders and doing some motivating and training, especially if that's the numbers, right? So with that said, the new way we're kind of doing this, and it's been discussed, and I think we're just going to say Friday night, we do want to train the leaders. No matter what, let's make that consistent with leadership training. Powerful to have somebody come in. You can round your leaders up. Some areas are doing a really good job promoting that. We do know that every city is different, and as far as that rank goes, right? We know that we do have some areas it's Pro 3s and above, because in some areas it's Pro 4s and above, and some it's Pro 5s and above. And the reason that is we try to keep the numbers about right. If you do Pro 5s and above and only 2 are showing up, then we want to go down to the 4s and capture a few more people. But we want it to be consistent. We don't want the host or the presenter changing that rank last minute, because we've had times where we had somebody push hard to get there, and they rank advanced, they hit Pro 5, they got to come to leadership training, and they look over next to them and there's a Pro 4 sitting there. And it just creates issues, because we need to keep that a standard. So whatever it is in your area, if you don't know, ask Mikey. It's on the printout for you presenters. It's on that rotation printout on the side. It'll tell the city and what rank can come to that Friday night meeting. So with that said, though, if you feel that it's needed and you can make it a successful meeting, let's plan an opportunity meeting Friday night, probably before that training. The training might be a little more focused, a little shorter, but let's not miss a chance to talk to guests. And I think that's been kind of the consensus. But what that means is we don't trade out a leadership meeting for an opportunity meeting, right? We want to have both. And if you feel that's the case, as a host, talk to the presenter, let them know that's what you would like. And then there's been some really good success practices by people getting on a Zoom call with the leaders in that city before the meeting, sometime early that week, and say, hey guys, I'm coming. We are doing an opportunity meeting. It's at 5 o'clock on Friday. Then we're doing a leadership training, at 7 to 9. We would love you guys to hit that rank. Get there. We want to talk to you. And those little calls have been extremely successful in putting those to, and getting the word out. But it takes a little more planning, and it does take, a little more time. But I don't think it's out of the question to ask someone to jump on a quick 15-minute call and just pump up the leaders sometime that week prior to. So those are two things for Friday night. Saturday, we are going to, we want to leave Saturday for training. Okay, and I want to say this carefully. People paid money, and we've had times where people, they paid money for 4 hours of training, and if that opportunity meeting turns to an hour and a half, and they don't have a guest there, and sometimes they just feel like they're not getting as much training, even though we all know there's value in the opportunity meeting as a training, right? So keep that in mind, but it doesn't stop you from training on how to do an opportunity meeting, right? And all of my LVAs, I teach people what to present. I talk about, those phases, and I talk about presenting and what a presentation is. And so if there is a guest in the room that paid, obviously it's a paid seat, but if there is a guest, at least they can still hear, kind of ground floor up what we're doing, but it's not a long deal. It's a small 15, 20-minute training on how to do a presentation. So that's my recommendation as a presenter. I mean, we're not micromanaging how that looks. We're just saying, if you really, if there's 10 guests in the room, we understand, but let's just say it, here's what I would teach if we're doing an opportunity meeting, so that those in the room that paid to be there feel like it's a training and they're getting that information. So let's keep Saturday there. I think that solves kind of all the questions. Can we have an opportunity? Absolutely. On Friday, we still have leadership training. Yes. Promote it as a big event and use it get some promotional value out of it. Get people pushing for rank to hit and be at that meeting on Friday. And then we still get everyone covered on Saturday. So any questions with that real quick, or comments before we move on to the next thought here? Okay, I didn't see anyone unmute, so
I want to say something, Blue.
Go for it.
On those meetings at night, it's the location's responsibility to find a location to do the meeting. And then after the meeting, we should still have about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to do a leadership meeting. That means who's ever still left at the meeting, you'll excuse them and get with the Pro 3 boards or 5 and above and do your leadership. And we want to stay away from restaurants. There's too many distractions. We want to have the speaker in the location, doing the training on Saturday, and spending that night with the leaders, motivating, inspiring, and all those things that this whole thing's all about. So if there's any questions on that, ask your questions now. And we're trying to make it standard so everybody does an opportunity meeting and then get together with the leaders after, just to have ask everybody to excuse themselves and they need to be a pro. Whatever that location's rank is, that's what we'll have to do. If there's any questions on that, please ask.
Yeah, thanks, Marcel. And we have, and that's again just a huge benefit when we've all traveled to areas, you guys, and you know what I'm saying, especially as presenters. You walk in on Friday and they're trying to have a leadership meeting at a restaurant and you don't even get to talk to some of the people sometimes. Now, if there's a back room and it's private, I've had some really good locations and it's been awesome. People that are prepared, they come Friday with, some good questions and good thoughts and here's what we need for tomorrow. And it's been really, really powerful as well. So great feedback. And you guys know the environment. And I think as a thought, I think, Dan, you guys had the ability to negotiate a little bit and talk, and without any extra cost, you got the hotel that was going to be on Saturday to let you in on Friday night and use it. And that works really well. In most places, there's some anyways on Friday night, and they'll let you come in and use that space. Some won't let you bring in food, so you can have the, a little offsite, or a different location maybe for opportunity or something. But if you're doing some kind of get together on that end for food, and then you can come over and do the little opportunity meeting and training. But
hey, Blue, I also wanted to take the opportunity I want to thank all of you for making this a priority in your life. And the host and the speakers, we got both of them online. It's a big deal. So I just want you to know I appreciate you guys as much as Blue and everybody else.
Can't hear you, Marcel.
Hey, Marcel, it's a little distant. I think we're getting an echo. Maybe both of your phones are on, but I can hear you.
We just got on earpods.
We're both on the same phone.
Plus, we're in and out of service. But I just want you guys to know I appreciate you. Did you hear that? Blue?
Marcel says he appreciates everybody. I think they got it.
Yeah. It seems like the mic's picking up better from Tony's microphone, Marcel, not your earpods. I think
what it is. Have Tony's. That's what it was.
All right, how's that? Is that better?
Way better.
Okay, go Chiefs.
Ha. You had to throw that in there?
Cool. Too late, man. Too late.
I just wanted to say thank you guys, and I appreciate you. And what a responsibility. And nothing inspires me more than a bunch of people that are concerned about a company and about a field and about a consistent message and da-da-da-da-da. So hosts and speakers, we really, really, really appreciate you. And so thanks for making it a priority and taking it seriously. Okay, keep going, Blue.
Let me answer a couple of these questions. So Marcy, I think that would be smart. The question is about polling the group. Yeah, you'll get a feel for the team and say, hey, we can do an opportunity meeting, but let's just make it worth it. I think that's all it is. If you guys pull your heads together and pull your invites together, it works out. Here's what I feel, you guys. As leaders in an area, I loved it when someone came to town because it gave me a chance to take off my presentation hat and put on my invite hat, right? And the leaders have a chance to be the biggest, invites, most invites, and bringing the most people. And I think that's a good time to do it because you're not the one presenting that day. So keep that in mind. And if you want to make that call as a host, that's up to you. But use the information from your leaders so that you get the support and the backing from your whole team. So Kai, another thing there, it looks like a couple people for Pro 5s and 6s. My only thing is, before you change anything, just call us. And this isn't for you specific, this is for everyone as well. But let's not just make the change, because I've had people change it, and I've had Pro 2s in the room because they were helping with the stuff. And we just want to keep it consistent. And we want to know what it is so that Mikey and I and Marcel, we can post it And so it's consistent and the message gets out. So, but I do think we can go to Pro 4s there. Kai, I think that's a great idea. Did you do that this last round? And how many did you have on Friday with Pro 4s, or did you not open it up to Pro 4s?
I actually have only 2 Pro 4s and 1 Pro 5, and there were no elites.
Yeah. And the Friday night training may be that way. And honestly, I'll just say, sometimes when you come into town and when an elite shows up, a lot of the questions go both ways, which is fine. But a lot of times you're bringing information that is that you have the floor that night as a presenter. That's your training. And, the elites hopefully are there to support that and to help and even ask some good questions to maybe spawn the conversation and push it in the right direction. That's awesome. But that training should come from you guys as presenters. So Kai, let's talk offline. We may go down to Pro 3s in that area if we need to, and let's talk numbers, because I really think
that's great. That's great. Yeah.
10 to 15 people is what we're hoping to have. And if there's over 15 Pro 5s, we're not going to go to Pro 6s and kick out the Pro 5s, of course. But if we get over that number, we'll talk. But let's try to pick a number that keeps it with around 10 or 15 people. Then it feels private, but we still get a lot done that way. So let's talk.
Only because the elites here are inactive, and they are scattered around from Dallas, Houston, things like that, especially the Pro 5s as well, some Pro 4s, Pro 6. So it's hard for them to every month they have to check in at the hotel, extra expense for them, they were saying, so they normally come on Saturday, but consistently Pro 6, Pro 5s, Pro 6 are there.
Yeah, and that's why we have these exceptions, because there's some areas that people just travel so far that they'll come Saturday morning and not do Friday. So we'll go down in rank to what we need to make sure that it's an effective meeting, so it's worth your the travel time for the presenter to get out there. So that's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Blue, I've got a quick question.
Go ahead. Is that Bob?
Yeah. In the Phoenix market, we're again, we've got pretty large market, and the hotel that we're at with the venue for Saturday, they will not give us that room for an opportunity meeting that night without that cost. And maybe we need to talk offline, and that's fine. I don't know if you have other markets that are of that size, but that's going to fall back to us as far as covering that cost or working that out. Or have you had any thought about it?
Yeah, here's my thoughts.
Well,
you guys have a normal when you have a city that has an opportunity meeting, what normally happens, right? Basically what we're saying is do what you normally do. If you have to charge $5 for per distributor at the door, if you have to do $10 at the door, whatever you normally do to have an opportunity meeting, and I know that normal might not be consistent in some areas, but it needs to be, and maybe this is a good way to start that. All we're saying is we're going to send in a top-notch presenter that night for your opportunity meeting. And so if it can be in a house, that's what we're pushing for. But like you said, Phoenix and a few areas, that's not always the case. And so it needs to be somewhere bigger. So I would just work with the leaders and say, are we okay in a house? Is $5 per distributor going to cover a small room somewhere? Just and again, we can talk offline for more ideas, but let's check with the leaders and see what they want to do. It's not on the host. This is another thing. It shouldn't be on the host's shoulders to do this. The host is more of a facilitator. As a host, if you can delegate well and round people up well, you're going to have 10 leaders pushing for that opportunity meeting, not just you. That's what we're hoping for. But go ahead, Marcel.
Yeah, it's the locations. And that I'm just going to echo what you said. Just do what you normally do and charge at the door whatever is appropriate to cover the cost. This doesn't lie. Like, we're not putting this responsibility onto the host. We're just saying that it's the location's responsibility to find a place to do the opportunity meeting and cover the cost. That's all. And then what Blue said, however you normally do that. And then so we've always just charged to cover the cost. Nobody should be flipping that expense either on their own. They should spread that out amongst the leaders. Does that help, Bob?
Yeah, it does. So, Sarah, this is a good point. And this is where we get split half and half. This is why Sarah brought up a good point that people will travel with a guest in on Friday to do an opportunity meeting. And then what does the guest do while you have a leadership meeting? They sit there and wait for you to have an hour, 2 hour meeting, and then you drive home. And we get that. And that's one of the things, I think you'd have to balance that. I think the leadership meeting is important. And just as important, in my opinion, as that, so that you can work it out. People may have to choose. I hope that's not the case, and this is why we were trying to just keep a leadership. But if we can get people bringing, if that person brought 5 or 10 guests and they have to get back, I get it, right? But I just want to be careful that people aren't sacrificing the leadership meeting, too much. So that we want to continue to add value to that meeting. So it is a judgment call, and this is where we get split half and half. We've been on these calls for hours deciding back and forth. So we're just going to put both, and you guys can work out what's best for you and your team. So that's a good question, though. Tony, happy birthday. I saw that note. Appreciate you guys. So if something else, think about that. If something else comes up on that topic, we'll cover that in a minute. Let's go to online. We have had 2 successful online rounds, the last 2 LVAs, of people logging in online. We've had between 150 and 200 people. That number is scalable easy. I mean, it doesn't take any more effort to put 1,000 in. Mikey just has to type a few more emails in, right? And probably her and I need to answer a few more calls Saturday morning, making sure that they have the right email, they know how to do it. And there's been a little learning curve there, but it's been pretty minor. I mean, when we have 150 people log on and we get, 4 phone calls, that's awesome. I mean, we can deal with that. The first time we had a lot more, and the very easy answer to fix 90% of these problems, you guys, is telling them to use a Gmail account. Because Gmail connects directly to YouTube. There's built-in. You don't have to go log in and register for a Gmail account. So keep that in mind. Mikey, can you kill a couple mics? I think maybe even get a chance. Anyways, keep that in mind on the side of on that. Anyways, the online stuff. So here's the way this is working. We are opening the registration through Friday night, okay, because we don't have a lot of preparation time and things that we need to do. And so it will be open till 11:30 on Friday night in your respective time zone. And actually, it won't be respective. It'll be, sorry, because it's only one registration link. So let me change that. It's just 11:30 on the registration link that it's at. And what we're doing is we're collecting email. We're collecting the city and state. The city and state helps us to know numbers so that we can, in the future, use those numbers to help. If somebody wants a live meeting in an area, we're going to use those online registrations to see, in a 100-mile vicinity, how many online registrations are we getting? How many people are going to want it? And then we may do some kind of a trial run or test run live and things like that. So we're putting that together, and we haven't had a big push or want for that right now. We had 5 different locations that went to the online, but I also want to get rid of the idea that it's only for those 5 locations, right? I mean, we want people to get to a live meeting, but your groups. I mean, we have people in Alaska and in Canada, and by all means, it's for those people all over. And we are looking at opening up more markets. We have an ability now. We did open up Canada, which has been awesome. We're looking at Australia and some of these areas. There's sometimes a little difficulty with payment and a little difficulty with getting YouTube to work correctly. And so once we have that figured out, we're going to open those markets. We'll get the messages out to you guys and use these trainings to grow your businesses in areas that don't have an LVA. But let's also be careful as hosts to announce it in a way that we're not pushing our hometown people off to watch it at home and they miss out on the handshakes and the culture that we've created there at the on-site location. So it's a balance. It's a delicate balance. I do think a couple areas might have lost a few people because it's easier to go online. But most of the people that that aren't coming are the ones that were driving 5 or 6 or 7 hours, right? And that's what we want. We want to make it easy for them. At the same time, we don't want to lose that touch and feel of the LVA. So they get the link on Saturday morning. They have from Saturday morning until Sunday night to watch it. And this helps us with our Seventh-day Adventist groups that have always had an issue with getting to the trainings because it's on Saturday. It gives them a chance to watch it on Sunday. And so it's helped other markets as well that just, even though they live right next door, they're just not going to come on Saturday. So it's been pretty balanced. So if there's
I
again,
have something to add to that, Blue.
please go ahead.
For the past 2 events, we've actually extended the time that we have the online training available just because of the minor issues that people had connecting. So this time around, I'm leaving it until tonight. So, you know, tonight is Wednesday night until midnight Mountain Time. That's when I'm going to be turning that link off. But it's been promoted that way just because of the minor issues that, you know, people encountered trying to log in or watch the video.
Okay. Does that make sense for everybody? Any questions on the online portion? I just want to make sure we're pretty clear. It's kind of new, but you guys, we could have 1,000 people. If we do this right, we could have 1,000 people on there, and it's awesome. It's helped out with a lot of things. It's helped out with, you know, expenses when people are going out and spending $800 and, you know, and we were getting hundreds of dollars back or even a little short. This instantly kind of fixed that. I think it's almost doubled some of that. It's gotten a little more of the travel cost back. And if there's 1,000 or 2,000 people in there, that's where we're going to see a dent in helping those numbers out as well. So keep that in mind, that this is fixing a lot of pieces of what was missing. Let's also watch the numbers though, because we do have some areas that are dipping below 50 is kind of our cutoff, and we have some people that are dipping below that, and they will go to an online if they don't have the interest to show up live, and that's just how it is. But we don't want to do that. We want to promote it correctly if we can. So any other questions on that topic?
Blue, online, I have a question. Do you have an LV Academy in Spanish? Because I want my Laredo team, growing Laredo team, to get plugged in.
We don't right now, but Kai, we're heading there fast. And this is one of the nice things about this is we have potentially the ability now, because we're recording these and doing that, we have a potential to either translate or get the right trainer to do it in Spanish and record it and get it out there if they can watch it. So we have some options, but as of right now, we do not have a Spanish LVA plan. But using those leaders, getting them to rank, getting them involved is probably where it's going to come from. So let's talk offline, and we'll keep pushing that. You guys, as soon as we can, we will have that available, hopefully live, and then maybe recorded and sent out to those that aren't close enough to attend that Spanish location. So great feedback though. We appreciate that. I'm trying to read these questions real quick. I think we're okay. If I missed one, let me know. You said it would be great for other religions as well. That's perfect. A little question on that. Yes, absolutely. As far as the opportunity meeting, plan it whatever time works. We just want to not miss the leadership training. So at least give them an hour and a half, 2 hours, and let's cover some leadership topics and let the leaders ask questions. As long as we're not missing that, it's up to you guys if you want to do it beforehand or after or whatever that looks like. That's best for your area, but just give it to your leadership. You guys will know what's best. I guess the last thing is just pre-registrations. Again, some of you guys as hosts and some of our presenters are awesome at stopping, taking time, getting pre-registrations, and it just seems like the areas that do that go well, especially the ones that will get the group to buy not 5 tickets, but if you'll buy 1 or 2 tickets, right? What that does is it spreads the urgency to the group to go find someone else and bring them with them. If it's just on the host shoulders to go, get 10 more people involved, it seems like the host is spending a lot of time away from building to do that. And that's wasn't what we wanted. We want you guys to go build, be an example, bring people and do your business as normal. But if we can get 20 people in the room pushing to bring one new person, that's where you're going to have the numbers grow, is when you have the team pushing for that. So as far as pre-registrations go, we'll continue. If you have best practices, we want to know what they are. There's some of you that do a great job. We can kind of follow the numbers around certain hosts or certain presenters and know that they're doing a great job at taking the time to do that. So why don't we open it up real quick, guys? If you have any thoughts along those lines, I don't want to take a ton of time, but I do want to make sure that the online LVA is very talked about and promoted, and we're aware of it. And and make sure that we understand that Friday night opportunity change. But other than those 2 things, We are working on a little bit of content stuff. We have, some of the logos that have changed in the PowerPoint. Some of that's just going to be a constant battle and a constant, we don't want to change the system, but we're constantly updating and keeping it fresh and new. And so we'll continue to work on that. And, until then, we'll just, use what you got. And you guys we don't have to micromanage a lot of that, guys. You guys have the talent and the ability to take that group of people and teach them, what you did to get to where you're at. What we're giving you is a guideline and a background so that people know what's going to happen there. There's some consistency and stuff like that. So let's open up for questions, guys. Let's take some time. If you have questions or comments, or let's go to there. Bert, you have a question?
Blue, I had talked to Steve quite a bit, and his plans are to have a couple of LVAs in queue, so we won't have the issues that he had this time. So that's going to help a bunch with being able to get the virtual LVA started on time and be available for that 6 o'clock on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, we're working with him, and I appreciate that, Bert. You were there, so you kind of know. What happened this time was we had one in queue, and that's what we had. Mark Sensatos, that was actually the month before Russell and Tracy. So we had it just raw footage, though, not finished. And I think what happened was when we decided to go to that training, it was great. It just took longer to edit some things. Each one has its own little voice issues, or if they use a lot of slides. The thing is, we're trying to keep the quality high. So he's actually dubbing in the slides. So instead of trying to look at it from the back of the room, it pops on the screen and you can see it. I mean, it just takes time to do that stuff. And so he's been real gracious in doing that. And we, kind of have him on the books to do that. We appreciate his help. But yes, we will be trying to keep a couple in queue that are even done and ready. Our issue is, if we're not careful, though, if you use something too many months back, it's not that the training gets diluted. It's just any announcements and things like that we got to cut out, because if the Elite Academy they announce is already over with, it doesn't, and it feels old, right? We want them to feel fresh. So, but great point. Those will get better and better. And eventually, how would you like to even go to a live one where we just take one, blast it out live? And, there's challenges with getting the visual and the audio perfect with that. I think the recording gives us a chance to make it a little more professional, but it will feel more up to date and live. And so we're looking at those options, but thanks for bringing that up, Bert. Anything else, guys?
Hey, Blue. I just had a quick question with promoting the online, because I do think it's a powerful thing. But when we're promoting it in the market that we're at, my only concern is it's going to create attrition with actual attendance and people pre-registering for the next live event. So so I guess this is kind of multifaceted here. When we're promoting from event to event. So we should be promoting to our outside markets that are outside of a 6, 7, 8 drive time to these events, and start promoting that now. But more importantly is managing the expectations at the live events as well, that it will be 30 days behind. Obviously we want to see all the numbers go up, but that also includes live. And, that's kind of like my only concern is promoting that at the live events, is that people will pre-register for the online rather than the live event, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And again, we weighed that out, and I think what we're losing in that, they're still getting the training. Let's just make it real simple. Hopefully, if we lose them to an online, at least they're still doing something. That was kind of the minimum trade-off. We all know the value of shaking hands, having that live feel, answering our specific questions. You just don't get all that online. That's what we're missing. So we're trying to find ways to continue to do that. And really, what it is, it comes down to the posture of the host and the presenter. Really, I mean, you hit it on the head. It's, guys, if you live 4 or 5 hours, this is where you need to be, and if you want my advice, my training, my mentorship, this is where you get that. Sometimes swag helps and little piddly things and fun stuff just to be part of that fun crowd. But we also had some people that brand new babies, and they were worried about trying to come, and they were able to, even though they live an hour away, they were able to stay home and still get the training for that 1 or 2 months while the baby got a little older, and then they could come back, So there's benefits all the way around. But yes, let's keep that in mind, guys. This is for your outside markets. These are for anywhere other than these 22 cities that we have rocking and rolling, right? Let's just, continue to announce it that way. If we see big attritions in areas, we can address it specifically, and we hope we don't. But we just, at least we had 150 new people getting on that weren't getting on, and potentially Alaska. And if we open up Australia, we could, I can't wait till there's 3,000 people jumping online and we still run in 25, 30 locations. That's what we want. So keep the locations fresh and they'll want to come there. But yeah, that's a good point, Dan. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Blue.
Anything else pressing, guys? You're welcome to call me, reach out to Mike in an email. Anything that comes up, we're here to help. I mean, we're keeping this alive. It's rolling. I love what it's doing. And I really see that the growth is going to come from just the professionalism, the real life face-to-face training that we're going to maintain. I really think that's valuable. I think a lot of groups are going to online only, and I do think there's a place for it. I just don't want that to be the only way they have. There's people that are still traveling 8 hours to get to these guys because they just feel the value, and that's what we want to instill. So keep doing what you're doing, and I'll echo Marcel. I appreciate all you guys are doing. It's hard to put to words or even to say it all the time, because we're always, if you talk to me real quick and I got 2 minutes, we're gonna fix something or make it better, right? And I don't want that to feel like we're just focusing on those things. But the reality is there's so many good things we can list: the training, the feedback, the excitement that you guys bring, and the professionalism. And really the value in this is having everyone's story that's a little different, right? We all got to these ranks, but here's what I did, here's what I focused on, here's the trial I had to go through. And when you're sharing those things, someone in that crowd is relating to you that didn't relate to the person last month, right, as well. Or that story affects them. And we don't know when that one person is going to flip the switch, go all in, and put $100,000 in volume in the next 6 months. I mean, that's what happens eventually when somebody gets it. So we don't know. We appreciate what you guys are doing. It's all of our businesses are being strengthened. And if we all keep together on this, the value is that we're teaching in one city, but our people in 22 cities are being taught. And now with online, our entire group can be being taught by this program without us physically traveling to all those cities. And when doesn't make a lot of sense when you're only in one city, but everyone on this call, rank-wise, you have people in multiple areas. And so it creates a lot of value for us. So thank you guys very much. If there's any last thoughts, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Stephen here. How does the online work? I mean, if there's somebody in the middle of Kansas and another person is, I don't know, North Dakota, I mean, is there a certain city they register with, or is there just, I don't know how to answer the question.
We have one online registration link. So we have all the cities that are there now. And then we have one that just says online registration, and all the details are in there. They can read about it. They sign up, they pay for it, and their name goes on a list. And Mikey collects those names, and she sends a private link out. YouTube has a way of sending a link through an email. And if they log in with the same email that they sent and bought their registration with, then the link opens and it plays for them, and it's open for 2 days. And so they can't forward it. They can't share it. We're really stressing the fact that we don't want you to put your whole team in a room and buy one link. I mean, we're trying to keep it fair, but we are promoting the fact that if 10 of you want to get together, which we have groups, in Canada, we have 10 people that get together. They all buy the link to make it fair, but one person hosts, they come and do it. And they actually act it out. If they have to push pause and make the phone calls or push pause and do the role plays, they're doing that. And so it's not bad, but we're just asking that somebody takes responsibility to make sure that they bring a little snippet showing that they bought that ticket, just to make it fair. So that's how it works. I mean, you register online, you get an email with a private link, you have 2 days to watch it, the link closes, and then we push on to the next month, just like everyone else. So does that answer your question? Or?
Well, the fact that there's, I don't know, 3 or 4 cities, in yellow, that doesn't mean anything. Omaha, take Omaha, for example.
Yellow on the thing that's in yellow. Mikey, what's the yellow? Do you know? I'm not aware.
Where are you looking at?
Well, on the host and presenters list.
I believe that's the cities that went to virtual because they're no longer having the live event.
Oh,
I think that's what that means.
So yeah, it's just to let everybody know. So by the next time that I send the rotation out, those won't be there anymore. I just wanted to put them on the bottom so everybody kind of, got caught up. that those cities actually went to the online training now. They're no longer a live event, if that makes sense.
So Stephen, thanks for asking. I thought you were talking about the registration page. Sorry. So
yeah, I thought so too.
The one that goes out to hosts and presenters, that information, no one really knows. They don't know. It has the ranks on it. It has the next person coming into town. All that stuff is for the hosts and presenters and this leadership team. So we'll have some stuff on there. And Mikey left those on there so that you're aware what cities went to that. So you don't say, hey, sign up in Salt Lake City for the next deal, that you would direct them to sign up on the online registration. So those cities will be off. You'll have a clean list. And then anything outside of that list, we're going to just have them jump on the online. So thanks for bringing that.
You know what? I don't think we take that off. I think we leave that on so people know.
That's fine.
I think because when I was going through that list last night at Dave and Joe's, I'm glad that was on there because it reminded me. That way, when you're out traveling, like right now, Tony and I are out on the road. We're in Colorado Springs, and now we're going to Nebraska. And we sat down with a bunch of people last night after the event on Saturday and had them all pull out their phones and pre-registered that weren't pre-registered. And so that is another way to get the numbers up. Every time you do a meeting or a Zoom call, promote LVA and have them pre-register. We had, I don't know, maybe 10 people pre-register last night, probably to Denver because they're from that area. But I'm glad they're on there, Mikey. That makes me, I can remember what ones went online. And then the only other thing I want to say, Blue and Dan, we need to chat after this. I need to get the numbers from Mikey and talk about these events that are below 50.
Yeah, we got some that are close. Right now, the general rule is if they're below 50 once, we chalk that up to a potential weather issue or whatever they want to say it is. If it's below twice, then that's where we start looking at making sure they go to a virtual. One idea just got brought up. Mark, thanks for bringing this up. And we've been real consistent on those third Saturdays. You just heads up for April that it falls on Easter weekend. So, we can look at that. I don't know if you guys have thoughts, Marcel, or you guys, any feedback real quick on that. Moving it's usually a disaster as far as that. We've been very consistent for years, but if we're going to miss the attendance, I guess there's definitely two sides of that coin. So any quick thoughts on that? I want to make sure I address all these questions here before we close out. That's a good question. And usually what we do when it's a holiday like that, we have already moved it. So now we have an LVA on Easter weekend. Yep, that's what Mark. Is that correct? Looked at the dates.
Yeah, Easter is.
Oh man, that's going to be hard with Mikey being able to move all the venues because they're already locked in. Mikey, what's your thoughts on that?
I think we have never changed the weekend before. I would suggest keeping it on the same weekend. I know that it's a little bit of, a hassle for everybody to travel on the Easter weekend, but I think everybody can make it home before Sunday. So you guys are okay?
I think so too. And here's the thing is I always look at it like this. I'll be out teaching. So I'm going to just leave it up to everybody else's own discretion on how they want to handle it. But I'll go out and fulfill my commitment and promote people to go and get them to pre-register the month before. It's a treat to have an elite distributor making 10 grand to 100 grand a month coming in. It's not always going to work out perfect. I wished it did, but life's not perfect. And so it's going to rely heavily on the leadership and everybody to promote. And if people don't go, they don't go. There's nothing we can do about it. So, but if there's no way to change 22 locations.
The only thing
I don't think anyway.
It's a few months out. I don't know how many we have secured, but we do a lot of areas we have locked in those dates. I mean, for the year, at least tentatively. So, any other thoughts? I just want to make sure we're, if we're all in, we're all in. I don't want to mess it up. The good thing is, it's Easter Sundays. It's Easter weekend. We're going to be back for Easter, but I do understand the travel and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 420. Hey, Blue.
Yeah.
Mikey. Joe Houston here.
Joe, go ahead, bud.
This could create chaos, but is it possible to make the decision for each of our own markets, or do you not want us to do it that way?
It would be an all or nothing probably. I don't.
Yeah. That could mess things up. I think it would be.
I'll tell you why, Joe. I love the idea. We've made little changes, even on a time. I think for a little while we were using a different time up in Maine because they were traveling so far. Remember, and sometimes just a little change seems better for the market. But we had people showing up the wrong times and missing it and wanting refunds, and it was crazy. Even just having one difference because the presenter coming in or whatever, just the announcements, all the promotions, the doc, everything else is just ends up being wrong for that one area. So I love the idea. I think we would try to do all of it or not and just across the board. But I think if we just hold on, because we have never changed, it's been consistent. If we drop down a little bit, that is why we have a little bit of a buffer and we don't kick people off the list for one time being out, especially some of our areas have ball games and big sports events next door at the same time. And we just have numbers fluctuate because of things like that. But that's a good thought, Joe. I appreciate it. Any other feedback, guys? And we'll try to get this out to everyone else, if hosts and presenters. But you guys take the time to get on. We value your feedback, and we take what you say serious. We take it back and figure out what's best, and that's why we make the changes. And that's why we have an opportunity meeting on Friday and things like that. As we're listening to you guys, we want this to be the best program ever, but we also try to take all the averages in and make it as consistent as possible. So. If there's nothing else, guys, we can let you go off throughout your day. I don't want to take too much of your time, but we sure appreciate jumping on. Try to figure on this call after each LVA. We'll try to make it a consistent time, and we'll get a notification out to you as soon as we, at least a week before, so you can plan on it. And round up everyone else, you guys. If there's other hosts and presenters, if we can get everyone on this call, we can get a lot done real quick. So we good? Thank you, guys. Mikey, thanks for hosting, and we'll get this out to everyone else. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Jumping on in Hawaii out there too. Thanks, Richard.
Okay, bye.
See you guys.